All right. Well, hey, everybody. This is Rebecca, and you're listening to Resilience with Rebecca, where we have real conversations with real people about real life. And I love talking about this subject because we don't always talk about we always talk about the end result, but we also like to talk about the messy middle and getting in there and figuring out that when we hit these challenging seasons, we are not alone. And I'm super excited today to have my guest, my friend. Astra, all the way from the great country of Estonia. And Astra is a mental performance and resilience coach who helps individuals develop the mindset, confidence, and mental toughness needed to perform at their best under pressure. With a background in sports psychology and high performance coaching, she works with athletes, professionals, and high achievers to overcome self doubt, manage stress, and build the discipline required for their success. Welcome, Astra.
It's a pleasure to be here. Well, first of all, congratulations with the podcast. We talked about it some time ago, so I love to see you doing this and such a relevant topic. I'm really aligned with topic of resilience, toughness, and those things. So, yeah, I look forward to this.
Awesome, awesome. I can't wait. Like, woohoo. Put our hands together and get warm them up and get ready, right? All right. Well, Astra, let me ask you a question. When you feel like life kind of comes at you with both barrels or both comes at you and like a crazy challenge hits your life, how do you what did you use to kind of get ready for that season, to get through that season? If you're willing to share kind of a little bit about your season and kind of what you did to face it, I'd love to hear about that.
With getting ready, I think that's a challenge is that a lot of times we don't get the warning signs of it coming. It just happens. It
Absolutely.
comes out of nowhere. You have no idea that that's what's gonna happen. And I think that the best thing to do is try to build resilience before that happens.
Mhm.
So kind of the way I approach it is I would do like different challenges. Like I do winter swims, I do like endurance races and different things where a lot of times the mindset I have behind it is to prepare for life. So it's kind of like you intentionally put yourself in uncomfortable situations, and that's where you learn about yourself. Um, a good example is when I was in Tony Robbins' event and we had the fire walk. There were like two ladies that I was there with. And and one of them was we were like standing in queue and there's like so many people, so the queue was like long. She was asking me like, "You're looking like very calm. Have you ever done this before?" I'm like, "No, never. I have done cold, but I have done nothing with like heat and like stuff like that." And uh and I said to her that, and she's like, "Do you think you can do it?" I'm like, "I don't know. I will see it once I'm there." But right now, I have no idea because I'm not in that situation. And that's where a lot of times people say that, "Oh, if this happens to me, I will do this and that." And it's like you can't really know until you are in that situation. And that's where I try to put myself in those uncomfortable situations. Sometimes life helps me, of course.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. But that's where the more I have done that, and also the more that life has put certain situations or experiences my way, the more I build that resilience. It's kind of like that. I heard one entrepreneur talk about it where he was learning guitar and his teacher would be like, "You have to be more patient." And he would ask, like, "How do I get more patient?" And he said, "You have to do things that require patience." And it's the
Mhm.
same with resilience. It's the same with like mental toughness. For us to be more resilient, we need to do more things that require resilience. It's like a muscle that we build. So that's kind of that preparation is, or like getting ready. It's like the best way we can get ready, or that I have found that I can get ready is by trying to kind of simulate similar situations, at least mentally or emotionally. Getting through it, I think big part of it is awareness, just being aware of myself. And I think one that has come to me very valuable that I have learned in the last couple of years is having the right people in your life that can support you and that can, and not not just have, let's say, if you go through something challenging, not just have sympathy for you. They actually kind of keep you accountable. They help you to get back on your feet, but they don't enable you. They kind of guide you through that journey. And that's where I think it's kind of from the side, it might be like, what do you mean? Like it's better that they just kind of help you with everything. But it's like it might be the case, but also I wouldn't learn to get back up myself if they
Right.
would have done that. So I wouldn't have learned that skill set that I can then take with me. Um, but it's having those people that also will tell you the truth because sometimes we actually don't see how much we contribute to certain like challenges or things that happen to us. So those are the people that, and they actually are a pretty rare breed because I think nowadays we tend to tiptoe around the truth a lot and we don't want to hurt people's feelings and all those things. Where I feel having those people to find those people isn't actually that easy because they are not too, it's kind of like they are so willing to tell you what you need to hear that they're potentially willing to risk the friendship with you or relationship with you. That's how much they care to tell
Mm,
you what you need to hear. Um, Maybe in the moment we might not be able to see that because it doesn't feel good, um, or it might sting a bit. But that's where I think awareness comes in. Not just with people telling us what we need to hear in the moment, but also just in that situation, being aware of okay, what's happening inside of me? What's my initial reaction? How do I want
right.
to deal with this? And taking a step back and just pausing for a bit and giving that space of sometimes we don't have much space as well, but having at least tiny bit of space of like, what can I do? What
Right.
kind of taking that power back, taking that ownership because it's very easy to fall victim. It's very easy to crumble in those moments. And sometimes it might even be easier choice, or it feels like it's easier choice in the moment. So that's kind of my long answer to that question.
Well, I loved what you said about the accountability because that's like a big deal, and you kind of mentioned a couple of different aspects of that, like mentioning the you said the word accountable, people that keep you accountable. Then you also mentioned the people that are willing to have the hard conversations, which keep you accountable. And that's the thing. And when you are the accountability partner of somebody, is that learning that balance to do it in love, not in fault finding. And I think, yeah,
Yeah.
that is a tough line to pull with people. And it is
Yeah,
hard.
and one of those people has to be yourself as well, because we need to be able to be honest with ourselves.
Yeah, look in the mirror, it matters. It matters, you know. Yeah. So how do you feel like, because I know in your intro, I love that you said you're a resilience coach because I'm the same. So that's always like my people.
Yeah.
But so how since it's such a big topic with you as well, how has your understanding of that changed as you've been living in it and working with other people on the topic of resilience, as opposed to maybe um, before it was such a big part of what you were helping other people with?
I think big one has been that a lot of times people maybe miss they don't know the line between resilience and self-sabotage, where they might fully remove compassion and relationship with yourself, self-love, and all those things from that, where it feels like it comes from a place of them having to push, having to like strive, and especially with all this like let's be grinding and working mentality
Right.
that it's so popular right now, which I have nothing against hard work and all those things, but it's like if we're not in alignment, it's kind of like you have to go through that push and pull the whole time. Um, and you actually exhaust yourself because you're fighting against yourself. You're beating yourself up for not meeting certain standard, which again, I have nothing against high standards. I keep challenging people to raise their standards, but become better versions. But then if you fall short, not to beat yourself up, give yourself compassion, reflect, adjust, and move forward. So I think big part of it has been that where you and I see a lot, especially with high performance performers, that they draw a lot of their self-worth from their performance. So they
Mhm.
actually don't know how to distinguish from I have to be this strong, resilient person But then also, like, who am I when I'm not that? And not that you don't have to be that, or like you have to not be that to know who you are. But a lot of times people can't draw that difference, or they don't know how to be kind towards themselves. And
Right.
with that, also with time with others, in their journeys, they might not have as much patience with others because they lack that ability to be self-compassionate. So they don't know how to approach others with compassion. So that's been big one where I would a lot of times try to push things, and then you push to the point where you burn out, and then you have to recover, and then you beat yourself up the whole recovery time because you're not pushing, you're not able to push. And but instead of kind of having more of that, I don't even know if it's balanced approach, because in general, like I can't say I have very balanced, according to most people, lifestyle or ambitions or drive. So I'm still very, very driven. I always I'm always doing something. I'm always working on something, but it's not coming from a place of, oh, I have to do this, otherwise I don't feel good enough or whatever. It's coming more from that place of, I wonder how far can I go? How more can I learn about myself? What are another limits that I can stretch? And it's kind of like shifted from that, kind of like, probably the best summary is, instead of going from self-hate, you do it from self-love kind of thing.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree that the challenging yourself is important because without challenging yourself, you can't grow.
Yep.
But if you push yourself too hard, you also don't have, it's like this balance. I always tell my husband, I always say, I don't want to make, I don't, I am tired. Like, I don't want to do this because I'm tired or I'm exhausted, but I don't want to use tired or exhausted as an excuse either. So, where's
Yes.
that happy medium where it's, I'm challenging myself, but I'm also giving myself the grace and the care of self to actually rest when my body needs to rest and to allow, that to allow that care of
This is actually a very important point that you're bringing up, because it's also, and that's something that I tell people, like, what works for me might not work for you.
right.
And the only way you're going to find what works for you is by sometimes going too far, sometimes resting too much. That's how you're going to find that balance. And many people, I think they, especially now, I think with all the social media and everything, everybody has this perfect path, how they have been walking, but that's what they show you, not what they actually live,
Right.
where you think that you have to know the answer before you have taken the first step. But you get the answer by taking the steps, experimenting, trying out, going through those failures or things where you go too far and you're like, okay, I think this is the line. Okay, we learned that. So and also you become more aware of when are some of the signs that, oh, I think I'm starting to approach that, like,
Right.
line where I don't want to cross that. And I think that's where a lot of times people kind of rob themselves from that experience, because they, one is, sometimes we tend to play a bit too safe. But also we don't really go into that with mindset of exploration. It's more so, oh, fear of what ifs, when we
Mhm.
haven't even taken the first step.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. There's so many things that you can walk a thin line between those things, like you were saying. Like, it's kind of laughable when you say too much rest because most people that I've seen anyway, most people I've seen almost feel guilty for resting.
Yep.
And then it's like, oh, you're not keeping up with this person, like, and you mentioned social media, not keeping up with that person, and it's like, man, they don't see me in my holy sweatpants and slippers and chicken head when I'm on social media. They see me when my hair is done and my makeup's done and I'm kissing on my kids, not getting ready to strangle them. But it's like a challenge to be like, I want to be authentically myself and really show people that there's battles, but you also don't want to be so down in the molly grubs that you never can pull yourself up. So it's like, okay, where's this imaginary line? And I think that's what you're saying is get yourself around people that will challenge you to push yourself, but will also challenge you to rest and will challenge you to move, a different direction or whatever. Also will make you question yourself. And then at the end of the day, looking in the mirror and saying, okay, what did I do today? It's not about what I did today, because I always tell people we're not human doings, we're human beings.
Yeah. And
And
I think another thing to add to that, I I think even with all the social media, I'm not, I can now speak from very like very present experience. Like I'm currently on one challenge within one app that I'm in where I have to be offline until 8 p.m. every day. So no social media, no scrolling, no movies, no YouTube, nothing, no gaming. I don't game, but like that's one of the rules. Until 8 p.m. every day, unless it's work related.
Okay.
And but even with that, it's been very interesting because it's very eye-opening. I'm like, I'm so distracted. And also I had this thought, it feels so good to think again. You have
Mm-hmm.
space to think.
That's
Because
at
a
the
lot of times I have
point.
seen this where people, even if it's self-development, we distract ourselves from actual self-development by consuming stuff about self-development instead of actually going and doing something. And and it's just it's so true because it is harder to actually go and do the stuff instead of let me watch another video. Like
Yeah.
I think I need to have this like one missing piece, and that missing piece is you doing it. That's what it is. And and it's the same thing with comparison because I think we are so distracted from ourselves with all the social media that
Mm-hmm.
instead of living your life, you end up consuming other lives or thinking about your life. So you actually don't end up being here right now, living the life, building the life you want, because you're so distracted with looking at other lives and planning what your life should be instead of just go live it and you will build it. Planning will happen along the way anyways because you're living it. That's where you get ideas, inspirations, visions. And that's it's been very interesting. I think I'm 9 or 10 days in, and it's
Okay.
been very, very eye-opening.
That's cool. That's cool. I was when you were saying like all the consuming, I went through my computer. I'm going through my computer presently because it's going to probably take me 20 years to go through it at this point with all the save files. But I went through my freebie file. You know, when everybody sends you their freebie and you see
Oh, yes.
good stuff. I mean, I have so many speaker friends and coaching friends and leadership friends that they send stuff to me and it's such good stuff. And I plan to read it all and do it all, but it's like I had to literally almost delete the folder, like the entire folder, because there's just so much information. I can't find anything anyway. So it's doing no one any good, including having to pay extra money every month to house my files. And so it's like the whole topic. It's like that's what our brains are like. We have
Yeah.
so much stuff in our brains and in our hearts and so many things we want to do. I was telling my husband the other day, I said, I wrote down my list and I said that what was that saying? You overestimate what you can do in an hour and you underestimate what you can do in a day or vice versa, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But my daily schedule, like nobody could call me and all my, I'd have to hire all my minions to come in and do all of it. We probably still wouldn't all be done because it's just like
Yeah.
so much. It's
And you know what happens is I find it fascinating that there's this, I wrote down like intention to do versus actual doing. It's kind of like when we say about what we intend to do, you already had this sense of accomplishment because everybody's like, oh yeah, this is such a good idea. You got it. And now you get this dopamine hit without having to do anything. You just say that you want to do this thing. Oh, I want to start diet. I want to do this. I want to do that. Or I want to get like in shape. You got it. Yeah. And you feel good about yourself without having to do anything. And I have had several discussions about like share your goals versus not share your goals. Because I
Mhm.
feel like when we share the goals, of course it depends who we share them with. But
Right,
I know for me, actually if I don't share as much and I just focus on doing, my results will speak for themselves. You will know what my goal is soon enough because you will see the results of the actions that I took instead of kind of, and I feel a lot of times with that sharing, it's like we try to get this confirmation from others or maybe that like, this is the right thing to do instead of just go with your gut. If it feels right, if it feels aligned, if it's something you genuinely want, go and
right.
do it. And that's something that I I find it very interesting. And because then once we start to post about all these, or not post, even like post too, but also share all the things we intend to do. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. When you show it with your actions, it's
Mm,
kind of like let's stop talking too much. And out of these 50 aspirations we have, let's just choose one and take one action
yeah,
towards it. Just one action. And that's where you start to live it. And that's where that's what matters the most.
right. Right. I think I read in a book recently, and they said they said like one every 6 months. And of course, I'm the personality. If one is good, 12 is better.
Yep.
And so
I know that.
yeah, I was just like, one, I can't do one thing. It's like, no, actually, you can't do one thing. That's why you're trying to schedule everything so you can build this, strength. It's like I'm telling people, be your own version of Wonder Woman, whatever that looks like to you. Like whatever you want Wonder Woman to look like. She doesn't have to look like everybody else's version. She just has to look like what you want. And there's no right or wrong answer. It's what you're looking for. It's what you're dreaming of and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, yeah, it's easy to teach it and not always the easiest to watch it,
Yes.
you know.
Yes. I literally stopped coaching for a couple of years because I was like, who am I sitting in four walls teaching people to be resilient? Like, I actually have to go and live. I have to go do hard things and live it instead of like, oh, yeah, like you go do this. I'm just gonna sit here in my comfort, teach you how to be like resilient. It's like, I was like, it doesn't make sense. Like, it's just like, what am I doing? It just didn't align with me. So that's where I started to do like different kind of challenges. Like I moved countries and started business, all these things. Like there's so many things that I have done where like a lot of it now I can teach or like talk from experience where, and that's another thing. You can't fake experience.
Yeah,
I have
I've,
had many people on the podcast. I literally with the Wisdom in Action podcast, the goal is to get on experts in their industry. And I'm very curious. I will ask you questions and I will try to go places. And if you don't know what you're talking about or you're not expert in the industry, it will be very clear. And that's the thing is you can't fake experience. You can't hide behind theory. Theories are nice, they're helpful if we do something about it.
action, what do they say? Action is a verb. The word action is actually a verb.
Yes.
Like
And it
just
doesn't have to be huge action. I
yeah,
think that's where another mistake people make. I definitely have made it, still do, because big part of actually from this challenge, within the last week, I have worked a lot on simplifying my life as much as I can. Because I realized not only with social media and the phone, I have been distracted. I have been overcomplicating my business. I have been overcomplicating my training. I have been overcomplicating all these things. It's like, what am I doing here? Like, how can I simplify? Let's simplify. And then I made several decisions. Like, I fully have been simplifying like my business approach. Like everything has been simplified where I'm like, oh, like I can think now. The other
right,
thing has been habits. So like within this app, there's like certain like tasks that you do and challenges and things like that, where that alone is enough for me because I was like, I need also this habit to do every single day. I have to track those. So now I spend mental energy on that. So
mm,
I stopped, I made a decision to stop tracking the habits. I just do whatever is kind of like within that.
right,
Instant relief of, oh, now I know kind of what am I focusing on. The other thing I did is I canceled or like paused my gym membership
mhm,
because I realized I would go to like Pilates classes, then I would have to think, what do I do in my gym program and all those things where currently I'm doing home workouts where I just play the video, follow the video, and I know results gonna come because
done.
those videos are hard. And I'm training for a half marathon. I have set the program already, everything is mapped out. Same thing with basketball. I have practices twice a week, exactly the same time. It's already in my mind, like it's been happening for years, well, almost 2 years. So it's like everything is set in stone. I don't have to jump around, think, where can I squeeze this in and do that? I don't have to do any of that. And I will get result anyways because I put in the work every single day. And that's really what matters. What it's not about what's the approach. That comes down the line. At the beginning, it's what can you sustain doing?
Right,
What can you
right.
do and actually sustain it? And then with
I,
time, you can add more because you start to build your resilience, you build your tolerance, and you can actually tolerate more. But we try to change everything all at once. We overcomplicate everything. Now we're confused and we're exhausted by the first day of implementing it.
resolutions. I don't do New Year's resolutions. I do New Week. I guess you could call them resolutions, but I do New Week. If I didn't do it this week, maybe I'll do it next week, and maybe I won't. I took
Yeah.
all of last year and basically just told, like you're saying, just took everything off my plate and
Mm.
focused on faith, family, and a little bit of business here and there. And that was my focus for the whole year: my health, my family, and my faith. And it was just, it was what I needed, and I feel stronger, more resilient instead of less resilient after taking that time to really figure out. And I know people say things like, "Oh, find out your priorities," and find out. I hate the words, like the fancy words. Like people will slap a thing on it, and then it's like hashtag intentionality, everywhere you look, and it's like I don't want to get. It's a great word, and it's awesome, and I love being intentional in what I'm doing, but let's stop hashtagging it like you're saying, and give your mind, your body, and your heart that relief that they need to build the resilience they need to truly face the challenges that are coming, and to also be the person you really truly want to be at the end of the day. And that's
I want to add to this. This is very important. What you said about kind of having this kind of single focus. The way I usually describe it is when you clean your house, do you go in like 5 minutes in this room, 5 minutes in that room, 5 minutes in that room, 5 minutes in this room, and I just like do that? Or you choose one room, I go in, I clean out that room, I clean out the next room, and now what you do with the rest of the rooms, you just maintain them.
mm,
And that's kind of the way I approach it, where initially I was, and New Year's resolutions is a great example. We want to change everything and all the areas and all these things. And intention, good intention, very bad execution. Where instead it can be like, okay, what is one area of my life that I feel that right now it also feels aligned, that like I want to address that, I want to work through that, or maybe that's been like kind of getting in my way of, or just bothering me the most.
right.
That'll be the main area that I will focus on. Whatever is like, it doesn't even have to be like time, but like it can be for quarter or whatever, for a month, doesn't matter. You just choose one room, one life role, one area. And then what you do is the rest of the rooms, you just think, what do I need to do to make sure I don't fall backwards? Maintenance. How do I maintain them? So that way you know that you're not neglecting them, but you also are not going in like, I want to like 10x 5 areas of my life. Um, and then I will burn out within 3 days, probably, most likely. So that's been very helpful kind of approach that I have had for myself, where I'm like, I know I want to do everything, like all of us, because our brain likes to add, it doesn't like to take away. So that's one of the hardest things to do is to take away, remove. But then once you do, now you have this space. You can actually focus. You can actually do things. And that's where you will get results. We just try to rush it and we try to overcomplicate it, where result of that is we actually get stuck even more and maybe even fall backwards.
Right. Yeah, that it really is kind of a if you're not careful, it becomes a slippery slope.
Yes.
Well, I have a question to ask you that I like to ask all my guests before we kind of come to a close, because we are going to be shutting down the episode here soon. Shutting down, that's a weird way to closing out
Closing out, closing out.
the episode. We're shutting down our brain, our episodes. We're closing out the episode. And one of the questions I like to ask everybody is to make resilience as personal as possible to themselves, as well as to the guests that will be listening to the show at a later date. What if you were a thesaurus and you type the word resilient into your search bar? What would be the synonym that would pop up?
It probably my first thought that came in my mind was ability to get back up. So it's less about the setback and never falling down because that's not going to happen. We're gonna fall down. Things gonna go wrong. It's kind of that insane persistence to just keep getting back up. Keep even if it takes you forever to get back up. And along the way you need to like step a bit, like stop a bit and like stay on your knee and be like, oh, this sucks. Um, and but it's kind of like just keep getting back up. And also with that getting back up, I don't have this kind of vision in my mind that you're like, I'm feeling great. I'm getting back up, motivation and all this. That's not how it that's not how it's in my mind. It's like, ah, again, but you still do it. It's kind of like you just keep getting back, keep getting back. And it's kind of like it becomes like to the point where it becomes second nature to do that.
Oh, absolutely. It's about getting back up. Getting back up. I like that. We'll have to put that as one of the bylines. Resilience is getting back up. Like you said at the beginning too. Because
What's your answer?
it's my answer. Oh my goodness, I've gotten so many from other guests that mine are kind of all running together. But I think that when it comes to resilience, I think I mostly see it as just I can't my new way of wording it, I'll say it this way, is and today we sailed on.
Mm. That was actually a word that came to me as you were speaking is like kind of the other, like there's usually like several ones. So second one would be not quitting.
Mm, absolutely. Well, resilience, like people think, okay, well, it's you have to, you build a strong resilience and you come and it looks a certain way. It doesn't look a certain way. Resilience is
It's very custom.
there, and it's also very personal. Yeah, it's
Yes.
personal. That's what you said. But that it becomes almost like how you breathe is resilience. How you speak when you need to speak, how you're silent when you need to be silent. It's almost, I can't think of the word I'm looking
It's
for.
like a character trait.
It totally is. It's like not a state of mind. That's not what I'm looking for. But there's,
Yeah. I have noticed that in myself how like I have very different presence now than
mhm,
I had some time ago. Yeah, it's very, very different. And a lot of it has come from like having those challenges, having to overcome, having to face and I do show up differently where it's harder to kind of throw me off. And
mhm,
even if something happens, I will be able to pause and be like, okay, let me reflect. Let me look for a solution here, kind of thing.
right.
But it is very, very different mindset because before I would just crumble and I would be like victim or whatever. And now it's
So
like very different presence.
absolutely. Well, I loved your definition of resilience and all your little nuggets that you dropped for our listeners today, Astra. I so appreciate you coming on today and being my guest. It was so much fun, as I knew it would be. It's always, I
Thank
think
you, thank you.
Astra and I were separated at birth.
Always the best conversations.
Absolutely. Thank you for being on today. And I want to thank our listeners for listening today. And if there's anything that was shared by that you heard on this podcast, please feel free to share it anywhere that you feel it would encourage somebody else, because that's the whole idea behind this, is to encourage others and to let us know that these resilient building seasons can be challenging, but you are never alone. So make sure that you share this, like it, listen to it, live by it, whatever you want to do. And I encourage you to move forward. And we look forward to talking to you again next time. Bye.